and welcome to another episode of Falcon Update. I'm Rosie Schiano.
And I'm Nolan Putnam. Thanks for watching YBTV.
Messiah University announced a warmer welcome campaign over the weekend. The initiative aims to enhance Messiah's outdoor athletic facilities and will feature the addition of some new buildings. We'll have more details next week.
This past weekend was homecoming weekend at Messiah, and if the tents and balloons around campus didn't give it away, there were all kinds of events happening throughout the weekend.
We have a recap of the Messiah homecoming festivities. On Saturday, Messiah University hosted homecoming weekend. Past, present, and future Falcons were all in attendance. The Falcon Zone had a bunch of games with plenty of prizes that the little ones could win. In Hitchcock, there was an alumni volleyball game. We then headed down to catch the flag football game where the sophomores were victorious over the seniors. After that, we went to Reunion Row, where they held an ice cream social for alumni and their families. At the same time, SGA was handing out free whiteout t-shirts to the first 200 students to arrive. The lines were long and the rain did not stop the students from showing up. While waiting in line, students made sure that you could see their Messiah pride. When the doors finally opened, I think it's safe to say that the students were more than excited for the free t-shirts. Now, there was still time to kill before the game, and students were able to mingle, play games, dance, and show off their new shirts in Hostetter Chapel before making it down to Shoemaker Field. There was even a surprise appearance from Flex the Falcon. The army of students were led by a bagpiper down to the field where they cheered and marched. The school spirit was at an all-time high, and President Phipps would agree.
Homecoming's been great. The weather hasn't, been terrific, but people's spirits have been great, and people are here, so we're having a good homecoming.
The Messiah men's soccer team was able to bring home a win with a score of 4-1 against Christopher Newport University to end this year's homecoming weekend. For YBTV, I'm Rosie Schiano. However, as the name suggests, homecoming is about coming home. So alumni of virtually all ages stop by campus.
Let's take a visit to Reunion Row with Emma Dingus.
This weekend, Messiah hosted Reunion Row to honor classes from various decades. Alumni were able to reconnect and reflect during this event. YBTV had the opportunity to ask alumni their thoughts on how the campus has grown since their graduation.
Getting it, but coming back here, it's very different. Everything is like new and beautiful. So it's nice to see that the spirit of the Lord is still here.
It's kind of amazing to be back. It feels invigorating, like the energy of the students is still present, sort of similar as the energy that I enjoyed when I was a student here.
The celebration gave the opportunity for generations of former students to share their stories of how Messiah has impacted them.
When people ask me about my experience at Messiah, one thing that I tell them is that Messiah, I felt like they prepared me for the job world so much better than my peers.
I love coming back to homecoming because you can just still feel the same sense of community that you felt when you were a student, and it's still here on homecoming. And that word, I think, is thrown around so much when you're a student. It's kind of like, oh, they're saying community again, but it's really true.
Signing off for YBTV, I'm Emma Dingus.
Thanks, Emma. And speaking of alumni, Messiah also welcomed back alumni Catherine Yoder to present her artwork at Climaneca in the Glass Box exhibit this past weekend. Yoder met this invitation with excitement to be back on campus and to display her work to her former professors and current students.
It's great to be back at Messiah. I love the campus, and it's great to get things out of the studio space and into the world. So, especially around people getting to see the art education majors now. That was what I majored in. I graduated in 2019. So, it's so cool to see the energy of the students, and they're working in the studio, and it's very energizing, I think.
Yeah.
Per usual, SAB had events around campus last week to keep students entertained.
Ethan Oates has the SAB recap.
SAB hosted another 2 events this week, starting with a craft night on Thursday. Rachel Doherty hosted an impressive turnout with students creating their own tote bags. Students used a variety of materials and paints to design it however they wanted.
So this is tote bag night. So people can either paint a tote bag that's like a canvas one that's already made, or they can learn to make a tote bag out of plastic bags, and we turn the plastic bags into yarn.
The finished products were totally worth the wait.
Because it seems like people are really into these craft nights and bingo nights and things, which is really exciting because last year, coming out of COVID, people did not come to anything ever. And so this year, already having people come to things so early is really, really encouraging.
Saturday night was yet another packed coffee house in Brubaker. As it was homecoming weekend, many parents joined the students to watch Messiah's diverse talent. From YBTV, I'm Ethan Oates.
Thanks, Ethan. Still ahead on Falcon Update, some exciting things are happening on campus this week. Brandon Cruz will have your campus calendar.
And Kelly Graney brings us more Messiah history in the vault. So don't go away, we'll be right back.
A student would want to study the finance major here at Messiah for several reasons. Students here are working and practicing in a setting in our finance lab with technology that they're going to use when they leave here and work in the field. And so our students are certified in Bloomberg. In addition, in several classes, our students are actually performing consulting projects with local financial and investing firms.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me about coming for the finance major here was just the scope that you get in all the different classes. So anything from corporate finance to portfolio management and security analysis, you touch on everything. Getting into investment club was something I really was looking forward to coming here to Messiah. I knew from very early on I wanted to get involved.
There's nothing wrong with going out, being successful, making money, but not allowing money to have a higher place in your life than God. So our goal is to get our students started off on their career path quicker and better positioned than any of their peers.
Welcome back to Falcon Update, live on YBTV. Before the break, we recapped homecoming at Messiah, highlighting the events for the students and alumni alike.
But what do you like most about homecoming weekend? Well, that's what we heard from students in this week's Falcon on the Street.
I'm this week's Falcon on the Street reporter, Claudia Barker, and this week we're asking students what they are looking forward to most about homecoming weekend.
Hi, my favorite part about homecoming is just the school spirit and probably the free t-shirts.
My favorite part of homecoming weekend is the 5K.
My favorite part about homecoming is the fireworks after the soccer game. They're very pretty and it makes me feel happy inside.
Playing in the women's lacrosse alumni game.
My favorite thing about homecoming is the Messiah Field Hockey alumni game.
My favorite part of homecoming is the Whiteout March. So just everybody meeting in Hofstadter to get our t-shirts and face paint and all walking down to the field for the homecoming game. Just the atmosphere is a lot of fun. Definitely my favorite part.
That's it for this week's episode. For YBTV, I'm Claudia Barker.
The soccer game.
Thanks, Claudia.
Now, let's check out Campus Calendar with Brandon Cruz. Brandon?
Good evening, Messiah. I'm Brandon Cruz, and welcome to this week's edition of Campus Calendar. On Wednesday night from 5 to 6 p.m., the Multicultural Council is hosting a discussion called Why Now?, where a set of panelists will answer a set of predetermined questions regarding the importance of conversations about race. Students attending will be also able to ask questions to the panelists regarding this topic. The event will have snacks and drinks and will take place in Klein 120. On Thursday night from 4 to 6 p.m., Messiah's Student Government Association and the Multicultural and International Student Programs are presenting an educational presentation and panel discussion about the F1 visa that international students have to apply for to study in the United States. They will also discuss the stress surrounding maintaining that status, the change of status, difficulty in applying for jobs, and staying in the United States after college. The discussion will take place in Parma Cinema. Also, on Thursday, October 6th through Sunday, October 9th, the Messiah University Department of Theater and Dance are putting on productions of the play Silent Sky in the Poorman Black Box Theater in the Kleiman Haga building. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's performances all start at 8 o'clock p.m., with Sunday's performance starting at 3 o'clock p.m. General admission costs $10 and $7 for students with a Messiah University student ID. Tickets are buy one, get one free for opening night. On Friday, the first edition of the Swinging Bridge magazine for this school year will be released, so make sure to grab a copy at one of the Pulse tables or stands around campus. Topics for the first edition include Messiah's visitation policies, Leadership Council, and the Marshmallow Ball. In the Student Union from 4 to 6:30 p.m., you can go celebrate Sustain Fest 2022, presented by Sustainability at Messiah. This annual celebration of sustainability will feature live music from In Yellow, raffle prizes, and more. Also, Friday is World College Radio Day, so make sure to tune in to 90.7 Pulse FM from 6 to 7 p.m. to celebrate. Finally, on Friday from 7 to 11 p.m., the Cybirds and the Game Club are teaming up to host a CTF night, where students can compete to develop their cybersecurity skills. The event will take place in the Cyber Center in Fry. Rounding out the week on Saturday morning, the Caribbean Student Association presents Catch the Rhythm, a Caribbean Zumba and dance workshop where members of the Caribbean Student Association will be leading various exercises and teaching Messiah students some dance styles and moves from the Caribbean. The event takes place at Bittner Beach from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And on Sunday, check out Fall Fest outside of the Student Union from 3 to 6 p.m. Activities include pumpkin carving, yard games, live music, and more. And that is it for this week's campus calendar. For YBTV, I'm Brandon Cruz.
Thanks, Brandon. You know, Rosie, it was pretty dreary over the weekend, wasn't it?
It was. It was very wet and cold, but that did not stop Messiah students from having fun. Let's check out the Falcon forecast with Danny Johnson. Danny?
Welcome back to this week's Falcon forecast. I'm Danny Johnson. Currently, we are sitting at 53 degrees right here on campus to go along with a slight drizzle, but will drop down to a low of 47 overnight. Tomorrow will be a little cooler to go along with the rain with a high of 52 and a low of 47. After all the rainy showers on Tuesday, the weather starts to heat up the rest of the week. On Wednesday, we are looking at a high of 68 and a low of 50. There will be slight showers early Wednesday morning, but expected to be clear the rest of the day. On Thursday, the heat continues rising throughout the day for a high of 73 and a low of 46. Friday is relatively the same as Thursday with a high of 70 and a low of 50. This is perfect weather to be outside and enjoy the sun. Following Thursday and Friday's warm weather, we drop down to a high of 58 on Saturday and a low of 43. And on Sunday, we are expecting a high of 61 and a chilly low of 39. If you haven't brought your comforters out, now might be a good time. As we transition into the colder weather, make sure to bundle up and stay warm, Falcons. For YBTV, I'm Danny Johnson.
Thanks, Danny. Now it's time to unlock some Messiah history.
Kelly Gainey is joining us from the vault.
Welcome back to The Vault, unlocking Messiah's history 1 week at a time. I'm your host, Kelly Gainey. To those living in North Complex, this building should be very familiar. Hess Residence was named after Messiah's third president, Enos Hess, who held the position from 1923 to 1934. Hess was a man with a passion for learning and sought higher education from Penn State College in 1891. During his college days, Hess fully devoted his life to the Lord in 1894 and noted the moment in the back of his Bible. Hess would complete his schooling at Penn State and become an ordained minister in the Brethren in Christ Church. After graduation, Hess would marry the sister of former Messiah president C.N. Hostetter, Barbara. In 1908, S.R. Smith called upon Hess to become a professor at the Young Messiah College. He would teach for 4 years, never accepting payment and instead donating $2,000 to the school's funding. He moved up to president in 1923 and led the college through the Great Depression and saw the end of the Prohibition in 1933. The financial stress of managing the college would take its toll on him, and he would often resign in 1934. Messiah has always admired Hess for his Christian character and sacrificial service to the greater Messiah community. That's all for this week. Make sure to tune in next week for the return of the House of Hostetter. But this time, it's Junior's turn.
Thanks, Kelly. Next up, sports.
PJ Rydell and Emma Dingus will have highlights of the Falcons from the last week's games.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
The new athletic training curriculum at Messiah College is a 5-year accelerated program that results in completion of a bachelor's in applied health science with a concentration in pre-athletic training and a master's of science in athletic training.
When I was introduced to the athletic training program at Messiah, I knew right away that it was going to be the right fit for me. There was just so much support and so much interest in me as an individual, and that community was really something special.
I think a student should be interested in studying this program, particularly at Messiah, largely because of the people that we have. Students are going to formally participate in case studies and case reviews, and there's also opportunities for collaboration with the faculty.
My friendship with the program director, Dr. Matt Lewis, has supported my journey as a Christian, as an athletic trainer, and as a scientist.
We are passionate about our students, and we're also passionate about the profession of athletic training.
I'm Lily. I am a junior, and I am a broadcasting and media production major at Messiah. I chose to be a broadcasting and media production major because as a little girl, I dreamt of being a TV anchor. There are so many opportunities you can have as a broadcasting major. Messiah is really unique in the fact that we have our own TV station, and it's student-led, so each week we have Falcon Update, which is a half hour, and then we have MC Live, which is a half hour as well. My favorite part is just being in the hustle and bustle of everything, and I'm really excited to just be creative when I'm putting together news packages or shooting other stories, just really getting every element of storytelling in my work. So we have a lot of faith-based projects. Right now we're working on one, it's called Faith Sides for multimedia storytelling. In pairs, we're interviewing each other for 2 minutes about some aspect of faith. A lot of students from our major either intern at ABC 27 or WGAL. I shadowed one of my professors at a Hershey Bears game. The Bears are a local AHL hockey team, and through that experience I developed connections, and eventually I got a job there. So I run the Crossfire machine and the LEDs on game days. My freshman year at Messiah, when I first came, I knew absolutely nothing about broadcasting or media. And now I feel confident that I can go work at a TV news station.
Welcome back to Falcon Update, live on YBTV. Here to bring you the latest on Messiah sports, I'm PJ Rydell.
And I'm Emma Dingus.
The Falcons certainly performed well this past weekend alone, but the highlights weren't confined to just Friday and Saturday. On Wednesday, the field hockey team traveled east to Ursinus College for a big game against the Bears, where they would reign victorious by a really tight final of 3-2. In such a tight game, the defense becomes all the more important, and Messiah's goalie Katie Brubaker was most certainly up to the task, earning her spot on this week's Falcon 4. Going to the highlight, working her way down the left line receiving the pass is Addie Plummer, as she works her way in towards Katie Brubaker, sort of a one-on-one here, and the shot off a pad again. What a save, a series of saves there by Katie Brubaker, not allowing the second chance opportunity. Let's take a look at it again. The first shot deflected off a pad. The second shot reaches for the sky and manages to bring that one back down. What a spectacular save there by Katie Brubaker, keeping that one a 1-1 game at the time, but then being able to give the Falcons the 3-2 win. After the big win at Ursinus, the Falcons shut down Widener 2-0 on Saturday to improve to the 8-2 on the season and 3-0 in the conference.
Speaking of teams that had a good week, the men's soccer team continued their dominant pace in the whiteout homecoming game against Christopher Newport University. Despite the conditions and falling behind 1-0 early, the Falcons stormed back for a big win on Saturday night. Starting the comeback was Cole Christian. Christian's taking the ball down the sideline. He works the ball around the defender and takes a shot, leaving the goalie stunned. He didn't know what was going on. And in this replay, you can just see how he's able to take it down the far side, work the ball around that defender so well, and just place that ball right in the right spot in the corner. And then the Falcons were able to celebrate their. The goal by Christian will be the first of 4 unanswered goals for Messiah, giving them a 4-1 win on homecoming. The men's team is now 9-0-1 and ranked 2nd in the nation. They'll face Stevenson next on Wednesday.
It's a huge game, huge win for the men's soccer team. Speaking of huge wins, the women's volleyball team also played in a thriller on homecoming weekend, playing host to Penn State Altoona on Friday. After a neck-and-neck first set, the Falcons fell behind 24-21, trailing most of the game with the game point on the line, but they wouldn't be deterred that easily. As we take a look at the highlight here, it's a McKenzie fight, deflecting it, taking it again with the huge kill. It's a tie game 24-24, but the kill by fight makes it 25-24 in the second set. Again, the Falcons won the first one, and now they're going to have to try to rally from behind and put this second set away for a big win. It's Caitlin Lobridis off the frame, getting ready to make the serve. The serve, as we wait for it, by Lobridis, the anticipation killing me, and the placement is perfect. The point goes to Messiah. It's a 26-24 win in set 2. Let's take a look at the replay again. Just barely keeps it on the line, does Lobridis with a perfect serve, giving the Falcons the win. They go on to win the third set then as well for a clean sweep of Penn State Altoona, improving their record to a staggering 14-2 on the season. They're currently 3rd in the MAC Commonwealth with 11 games left to play.
Unfortunately, due to the rain this weekend, Saturday's post-game fireworks were canceled, but not to worry. The women's soccer team provided some of their own. In a 7-0 shutout against Salisbury, Brianna Sipe and Rachel Turgeon provided our final highlight of this week's Falcon 4. So you can just see Sipe working her way down past her defender. She manages to stay up and to pass it down to Turgeon in the middle for the perfect shot on the net. In the replay, you can see how, despite the slippery conditions, she's able to maintain her balance to just perfectly place it right there so she can just one time tap it into the goal. Turgeon's goal is her team leading 6th of the season as the Falcons improved to 8-0-2 on this year. Next up, they've got a conference matchup against Stevenson tomorrow night.
Yet again, what a spectacular selection of plays for this week's Falcon 4. The weather may have been rough, as we saw an impressive play there by Sipe to stay alive. It was tough this weekend, but it was fun to watch the Falcons perform in front of the Falcon faithful, whether it's on the turf or the hardwood. That will do it for YBTV Sports on this week's Falcon Update. I'm PJ Rydell.
And I'm Emma Dingus. But don't go anywhere just yet. After the break, we've got this week's episode of YB Tonight with our host, Kelly Gainey. You don't want to miss this one. Stay tuned.
Got it.
We don't want our students to feel like they have to wait until they've graduated to start serving and meeting the needs of society. So we want students to have an opportunity to work on projects that meet real needs even while they're students in the program. Messiah students are exciting to work with because they understand that God has uniquely gifted them to do something, and they're excited to follow Him in that and to follow Him in their careers.
One of my best moments as a student here at Messiah was when I was traveling to Mexico with the Collaboratory.
The Collaboratory's business model is that it pairs student teams with either faculty mentors or outside professionals to work on systems that either care for the earth or help disadvantaged people around the world.
I learned so many amazing things about just cultural differences and how to adapt and work alongside, not just how to help someone else, but how to empower them to further their lives and also advance my academics in the process. So that is by far one of my favorite memories from Messiah.
So people ask me what kind of companies hire electrical and computer engineers. Basically, if you plug it in or it has a battery in it, electrical engineers were involved. Every Messiah engineering student is guaranteed an internship with an on-campus organization called the Collaboratory. The Collaboratory's business model is that it pairs student teams with either faculty mentors or outside professionals to work on systems that either care for the earth or help disadvantaged people around the world. One of our more successful projects is a project that involves facilitating use of limited electric power called EMMS.
So I am the student project manager of the MMS team, and so what that means is that I head up a team of students and industry volunteers who are developing a system that makes it possible for schools and medical clinics to be able to efficiently share their limited solar power resources. Just the faculty and the way that they interact with the students to help them grow is such a powerful thing.
Welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm Kelly Gainey. Laura will be performing 2 songs for us on the vibraphone. Take it away, Laura. was just absolutely incredible. Now we have to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll sit down with Laura and chat about her musical talents. Don't go away.
The new athletic training curriculum at Messiah College is a 5-year accelerated program that results in completion of a bachelor's in applied health science with a concentration in pre-athletic training and a master's of science in athletic training.
When I was introduced to the athletic training program at Messiah, I knew right away that it was going to be the right fit for me. There was just so much support and so much interest in me as an individual, and that community was really something special.
I think a student should be interested in studying this program, particularly at Messiah, largely because of the people that we have. Students are going to formally participate in case studies and case reviews, and there's also opportunities for collaboration with the faculty.
My friendship with the program director, Dr. Matt Lewis, has supported my journey as a Christian, as an athletic trainer, and as a scientist.
We are passionate about our students, and we're also passionate about the profession of athletic training.
I'm Lily. I am a junior, and I am a broadcasting and media production major at Messiah. I chose to be a broadcasting and media production major because as a little girl, I dreamt of being a TV anchor. There are so many opportunities you can have as a broadcasting major. Messiah is really unique in the fact that we have our own TV station, and it's student-led, so each week we have Falcon Update, which is a half hour, and then we have MC Live, which is a half hour as well. My favorite part is just being in the hustle and bustle of everything, and I'm really excited to just be creative when I'm putting together news packages or shooting other stories, just really getting every element of storytelling in my work. So we have a lot of faith-based projects. Right now we're working on one, it's called Faith Sides for multimedia storytelling. In pairs we're interviewing each other for 2 minutes about some aspect of faith. A lot of students from our major either intern at ABC 27 or WGAL. I shadowed one of my professors at a Hershey Bears game. The Bears are a local AHL hockey team, and through that experience I developed connections, and eventually I got a job there. So I run the Crossfire machine and the LEDs on game days. My freshman year at Messiah, when I first came, I knew absolutely nothing about broadcasting or media, and now I feel confident that I can go work at a TV news station.
Welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm Kelly Gainey here with Laura Shuey. Laura, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So from what age did you start exploring your musical talent? Because it's a great one.
Definitely it was a thing that was kind of fostered when I was younger. I have parents that they're not like, it's not their main gig, but they were involved in music, so I definitely had a constant source of it as I was growing up. And then when I got, I think it was middle school, I really solidified, like, I want to do percussion. Because before that I had played piano when I was in, I think 2nd grade was when I started taking lessons.
So following up with that, what were some of the inspirations that got you to playing this instrument?
For sure, I have to thank my piano teacher. She did a fantastic job because she gave me all of the like music theory that you need when it comes to making music. But the teacher that actually got me into percussion was my middle school band teacher. Mrs. Nelson, who is fantastic in every way. And it was like, because I played piano in her jazz band, and she was like, you don't play a band instrument. And I was like, I don't play a band instrument. She was like, have you considered a piano you hit? And therefore, that's how ballads came to be.
That is an awesome story. Well, shout out to Mrs. Nelson. You made a star here on Messiah's campus. So thinking about that a little bit, what are some of the challenges of being a music major? I know you have a lot of work and you cover a lot of instruments. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It's interesting picking which path you want to go on. So you can do music ed, you can do music performance, you can just be a general music major. I actually started out as music education, and then I realized I didn't want to teach in a public school. So it was kind of the safe route, because you go into a job after that as a music teacher. But if you do general music, it's less concrete in a way. So I think that's been, especially as a senior this year, it was a big thing, and like that as a challenge, and also just solidifying which instruments I liked the most, because as a percussion major, we kind of cover a whole bunch of different things. But I've definitely, vibraphone is for sure one of my favorites.
So how would you say changing from that education perspective to that general music perspective impacted your life?
It was, I originally thought it was going to be less stressful. I was totally wrong about that, because I took a composition concentration, which means that I write music as well. So it's been super fulfilling and enjoyable to see music that I write get performed, and see ideas that were just in my head actually on paper and tangible and actual music. But it's definitely a long process, and it's a process that's very based on what other people think. A lot of your success comes from whether people like what you're writing or not, and so there's the balance of writing what I want and writing what's going to let me live.
That's really beautiful. I really like that. So zeroing in on the vibraphone itself, just besides being a piano that you hit, what about it caught your attention?
Honestly, I think it's kind of the main thing for like jazz. So I really like playing jazz, but in a big band setting where it's not like a few musicians, it'll be a lot of musicians playing at once. Vibraphone is not a common instrument per se. It'll be something that's more in like a small ensemble setting. But it is kind of like the jazz instrument, and I think that's what kind of drew me to it. And also, it's a totally different sound than like our other mallet instruments, because the pedal lets everything ring, and none of our other instruments have pedals. So I think that was also part of it too.
Now, we definitely kind of know why you wanted to be a music major from growing up with your parents. Is there any other major out there that you think you could have done?
Honestly, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably go into like environmental science, just because I work at a home and garden store, and I really like that stuff, and I was kind of good at science, but I don't know. I feel like this has kind of been where I was always meant to be in a way, and I've been through enough challenges that I kind of knew that like I kept getting redirected in a way that I was like, okay, this is where God wants me to be right now. But I do really enjoy like environmental science stuff too.
That's really lovely. So have you seen your love for music transform not only yourself, but maybe even your passion for music even more in your college career?
Oh, for sure. And it's always been, it's hard because music majors, we have so much stuff that kind of gets crammed into it in a way where it's really easy to kind of lose some of that sometimes and just get overwhelmed. But I think the reason everyone keeps coming back and keeps practicing and keeps pushing is because we all love it so much. That's kind of the passion behind it, you know. I think that's definitely, it's important. It's a different thing than like, you know, I guess some of the other majors, not in that they don't do like the same amount of work, but just that like, you know, it's a very different style, art type thing, I guess.
Absolutely, no. You hit it right on the head, and that kind of channels into how do you think you've grown in your musical abilities over time?
Yeah. So a lot of what I played, so the jazz stuff that I just played, for example, I played the head, which is like the melody of the piece, and then the rest of it was improvisation. And I did a little bit of that in high school, but definitely when I came here, I was like, I want to get really good at that, and finding kind of guidelines is the way to put it. It's kind of like, okay, you have these certain notes and these certain chords that work, and finding which scales go into it, and I definitely established that a lot more here with private lessons and playing in a jazz band where we do like solo stuff.
Absolutely. Now, being a senior, how are you working towards your career after graduation? That's kind of coming really fast.
You're telling me. So a lot of it, again, as a music composer, it's not like you jump right in. It's like, oh, you're suddenly composing for big-time movies or commercials or whatever. A lot of it will be smaller jobs or even just, you know, having a portfolio that you're building of music that you've written. So like, as stuff I've written here, I can see the progress I've made through that, and I can also, having a variety of things that I've written is also really good for people to look at. And then just starting in jobs where like sometimes people will come in and like they'll arrange different music, or they'll be like a transcriber, or they'll work for music publishing, and then kind of slowly ease their way into the composition side of things. Because typically when you're a music composer, it's not just writing music, you write the music, do the sound design, do the production, and so I would have to equip myself with some of that before I would jump headfirst into a job.
Well, Laura, you have a fantastic journey ahead of you. I'm so excited to see what you accomplish in these upcoming years.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And then after the break, we're going to learn a little bit more about the Messiah Games Association. So don't go away. YB Tonight will be right back.
My name is Nathan Sims. I'm a junior at Messiah, and I'm a double major in both film and media arts and Spanish. I grew up making films as a kid. I saw that Messiah had a film program, and so when I visited, I just thought this is the perfect fit. Both the theory and practical considerations here have really increased my skill set, not just in a technical sense, but also from a theoretical perspective as well. I think the biggest piece that I'll add to my portfolio before I graduate is the final film for the junior and senior film project. That'll probably be my crowning achievement because I'm working with so many other artists and other film majors, and it's just been a really great opportunity so far. I think I'm most excited to use skills I've learned in documentary class. I have to make ethical decisions in every step of the process to really come up with a strong and truthful way to tell someone else's story. I think my professors have done a really great job of being strong examples for what combining your faith and your ethics with an art form like film, what that looks like. And so the interactions have almost always been positive because they're really invested in what their students are learning. One of my most valuable experiences was my internship, where I was able to actually apply what I learned in the classroom to the real world. And I think that's a completely invaluable experience. Personally, I did my internship with the Department of Natural Resources in Maryland. One of my favorite experiences at Messiah so far has actually been the Splice Film Festival, which allows students to submit their own personal work. And being able to share the art that I created as well as my fellow classmates was absolutely beautiful. I think the market right now is very open for film and media arts majors. There's a lot of different ways that you can plug in, both at nonprofits, at regular organizations. I worked in the government, and so I think there are absolutely a lot of opportunities.
Welcome back to YB Tonight. I'm Kelly Gainey, and I'm joined by Caleb Eaglecamp of the Messiah Games Association. Caleb, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good.
What is the Games Association all about? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So we're basically everything games related. We have a bunch of different subsections to our kind of overall club. And so we do card games, board games, video games. We have a D&D section as well. We have like an outdoor kind of games like spike ball and cornhole. We have pool tournaments, poker tournaments. Pretty much if it has the word game in it, it's us. Yeah.
Wow, that covers a lot of games. So what are the typical games that you see on a weekly night? Are there like, do you rotate your games because you have so many?
Right. So usually on weekly Friday nights, we'll try and put in a bunch of the different like board games and video games that people are kind of generally interested in. Like obviously Super Smash Bros. On the Switch is kind of like a big one. And things like Catan are also pretty big board games that people are interested in. And we also have one-shots for D&D that a lot of people usually come out to. But in general, some of the other things like pool, obviously you have to have a setup for that. So we usually let those be things that we do on a monthly or bi-monthly basis.
Speaking of those monthly events, what other events does the Messiah Games Association host?
So we usually like to host a bunch of different either monthly or semesterly events that are kind of big names for their sections of the club. Last semester we did a lot of pool tournaments, and we're definitely going to bring that back, but we're kind of spreading them out. We have a spike ball tournament coming up the Friday before we all leave for break. We have a poker tournament coming up this weekend. Probably going to have the pool tournament coming out at either the end of this month or next month. And we have obviously the CTF collab with the Cybergs coming out on this Friday, so that should be a cool thing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. With such a range of events, why should students get involved?
So I like to say there's two big reasons why people should get involved. One, whatever you like is going to be there. Because if you like any kind of game, it's going to be there no matter what it is, because we got it all. But the other thing is, honestly, despite the wide array, it's usually a pretty tight-knit community. I mean, you find a lot of people that like similar interests as you in your certain subcategory, and you can usually find a lot of good friendships and learn a lot of new things, either from people who are more experienced at the game or from, you know, helping other people to learn a game that you're really interested in.
That's awesome. Now, can you tell me something that not many people may know about the Games Association?
Oh, that's a tough one. So I think one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that we, every week on Friday nights right before our weekly game meetings, have a leadership meeting, and we have a ton of members on leadership. I think the number is currently 11, but that doesn't include one of our leaders who's currently away for the semester in Spain on a study abroad, which good for him. Unfortunately, we're not over there, and we meet from 6 to 7 for an hour every night to go over all of the complexity of everything that goes on. We got to reserve our rooms a month in advance for all the complex events we do. We got to order catering for some events, and it's a major process that we have to go through a lot of time in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. With such a big leadership team, where do you see the Games Association headed in the next few years? Are you going to expand?
Well, we've thought about trying to expand. One of the things we really wanted to do was become an executive club at some point, but the problem is that kind of our role is so similar to SAB in a sense. We're just more fine-tuned that a lot of people saw in the upper echelon of like the SGA that we were talking to that it's kind of hard to find someone that Messiah is willing to put on their payroll as an advisor that's, you know, directly into just the gaming atmosphere. So it's a little bit of a hard sell to go that way. But in terms of expansion, we're probably going to try and merge any other clubs. Like one of the clubs we were hoping to merge with is the chess club, because they're another game that's really popular, and we wanted to get them some more exposure, get them a bigger budget if we can in the future. So
that's really nice. What do you want students to gain from attending all of these different kinds of game nights and events?
Well, first off, being an engineering major myself, I like to de-stress, and this is a perfect way to do it. I mean, what better way is there than sitting down and playing some sort of crazy game like Unstable Unicorns, you know, or playing Catan or D&D where you get to basically, you know, live a whole other life, play some video games. I mean, it's so nice to just do something that makes you stop thinking about all the worries of the 5 homework assignments you have due this weekend and stuff like that. And outside of even that, it's a fun atmosphere. There's a lot of fun people. It's good to mingle with other people and talk and learn about, You know, a lot of interesting things that you couldn't get in other, you know, groups of people and tight-knit communities.
Absolutely. Now, you've brought up video games a few times, so my burning question is, what differentiates you guys from the esports community and team?
So the biggest thing that differentiates us from them is they're more of like the competitive scene.
Okay.
All right, if you're playing like Valorant or League of Legends and stuff like that, you usually go to esports and you try out for teams and you do very competitive events. We're more of the casual side of things. If you want to come and play Smash Bros with your friends on a Friday night, we're here for you. We also have feature game nights that we'll have usually bi-weekly, and there'll be things like Just Dance that we'll host in the Union on a screen. In fact, we have a Just Dance event coming out this Wednesday from 5 to 9 in the Union. So we'll have a bunch of stuff like that where people can kind of come. There's no competition. They can just chill and hang out and play a game with anyone that wants to play with them.
Caleb, thank you so much for talking to us and joining us tonight. Those game nights sound like a blast.
Yes.
That's it for this week's episode of YB Tonight. Thank you all for watching YBTV, and tune in next Monday at 7 for more. On behalf of myself and the entire YBTV crew, stay classy, Messiah University.